Hopefully you can hear me there. Good evening, everyone. It's RV in New England. It's October 10th. Got a great show for you tonight. I'm going to bring up our guest right away so that we found out that our video looks better when we have all four. So we are very pleased to have Don and Mark Polk back with us again tonight from RV Education 101.
Hi, Bob. Hi, John.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
So, ironically, you are broadcasting from your motorhome in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And the last time we saw you in person,
deja vu all over again.
Yes,
right.
Deja vu.
You were Hershey, and you were sitting in Hershey, and then had to sit in Stanton. But was it Stanton or was it Charlottesville, KOA?
No.
Yep.
Because you live and work in North Carolina, and you were hit severely with the hurricane, and you couldn't go home. And now you're there. And when we were prepping a little while ago, Don got another emergency bulletin from North Carolina Emergency Management, and so now you're back doing it all over again, guys.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, what are the odds? When we got home, we had some time to clean up. We had a mess. The neighborhood got together, the community got together, and we cleaned everything up. And then I thought, well, everything looks pretty good, so let's go ahead and head back to Hershey for the antique car show. And we weren't even aware of Michael out there. That really came up quick. But we're sitting here yesterday watching the news and watching how quick Michael was gonna, coming in to hit Florida in the Panhandle. And now they're saying it's going to head right up towards North Carolina. So
yeah, it was quick. I mean, it was like a week. Nobody had heard of it. In fact, I didn't hear of it until Dawn mentioned it in one of our emails that she was looking and worried about Michael.
Yeah, the only thing they talked about it for a week ahead of time.
People had time to prepare.
Yeah. So the only thing
I got an important question.
The only thing we have to worry about up here is John.
Have the Steelers won yet?
Let's not talk about that.
Okay.
Let's talk about the hurricane.
Let's talk about RVs. We got a few people on already. Chuck Lundberg from Talk Camping, New Hampshire. He does got his own little site up there in New Hampshire and does people. And Maria's back again tonight. Hi, Maria. And Jerry. We always wait for this. Jerry plants on his nationwide tour. He's in.
We were just talking today as to wonder where Jerry will be tonight. So Jerry, it looks like that you're back on your swing.
East of Dayton.
Are you at the Dayton KOA, Jerry? There's a great KOA in Dayton, just north of the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and the U.S. Air Force Museum.
We'll know for a second from that. But guys, while we're on this topic, let's just discuss briefly, before we get into our specific RV stuff, the value and the usefulness of having an RV to flee from a pending disaster area. But also, let's be very, very clear that you should not be in your RV if you are in a disaster area.
Yeah.
So, Mark, if you could describe to us, Mark and Dawn, how you were able to utilize your RV to get out of there in September. The fact that you were able to stay in Hershey for a good 2 weeks, right, guys?
Yeah.
And then, Mark, tell us some specifics about why you should not be in an RV during a disaster, especially a hurricane.
I would say that it's important for us because our dogs get to come with us, and a lot of people refuse to leave sometimes because they can't bring their pets with them, which is heartbreaking. So, some of the shelters allow pets, some don't. But for us, we get to bring them with us. So that was really important. And what did you want to say?
Yeah, I've written several articles on what I call emergency weather planning, and it has, dealing with RVs. And I've always said to people, if there's a threat of even thunderstorm with high winds or severe lightning, or of course anything like a tornado or a hurricane, you don't want to be in the RV. So even if you're at a campground and the weather is moving into the campground, you want to locate something that's safer, like the laundry room or the office building or what have you, because RVs are not safe in a storm. However, like you said, John, you couldn't ask for anything better than an RV to evacuate from a storm.
Right.
You know,
But we knew Florence, you know, that was ongoing for days and days and days. And so we knew before we headed up to Hershey, you know, you get your important papers, you get things that you know, need to, you know, protect. And with Michael, we didn't even think about it. I don't know why.
what's really interesting is when we were sitting in Charlottesville waiting for a road to open up so we could get back home, we were in contact with our neighbors, and they said that the grocery store shelves were completely empty. They didn't have bottled water. They didn't have food, and you know the power was out for days, so the refrigerators.
So prior to the storm, right?
They started giving us
after the storm.
They started giving us a list and saying, hey, when you guys, you know, when you can come back, could you bring, you know, cases of water and
bananas?
Bring some fruit and bring what someone wanted a whole chicken. So we went to the grocery store and we just loaded up on everything we could take. And then when we got back, we just kind of distributed it because they were actually literally stuck in the neighborhood for 6-7 days. And then when they could get out
and no power,
there wasn't anything available.
Right.
So, I mean, it really was. We could not have been more fortunate, but we hated to see our community going through that, you know.
When we weren't there.
And we're sitting here like we've got everything you could ask for. But we were very fortunate that, you know, as far as the timing. And here we go again. You know, we're up here for the antique car show back in Hershey again.
We're in Hershey again right now.
And now Michael is coming through Florida, Georgia, and they said it's making its way up to the Carolinas. So
your way.
We could very well be in that same predicament again.
Hey,
you know, one of the things
check out Jerry's comment here.
Tomorrow stars.
Jerry, you have to clarify that, because are you talking about John and Bob? Or are you talking about John and Mark? You're going to offend one. You're going to offend one of us or two of us. So.
But you know, as we segue onto our next topic, which is winterizing, it's very important to also know that during the winter up here, on several occasions after a snowstorm, when we've lost power in the house, we have been able to go out into the motorhome with the generator power and have heat and electricity. And even a couple times we've had our daughter and her husband and their young baby at the time, who were out of heat as well, be able to come and stay with us during that time period.
Absolutely. That's a great point. I mean, the benefits from an RV go far beyond just, you know, recreational travel.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a great point.
Exactly.
But then you bring up the cold weather up there, and then then like you said, it comes time to winterize the thing so it doesn't freeze up and cause all kinds of havoc next spring.
Well, it's funny because right now it's a little after 7 o'clock Eastern time. And as I look out the window, it's dark at 7 o'clock. And Bob and I used to joke when we started the show back in January, we're excited to be at the time period when it was April, when we could open the shutters behind us and start the show when it was still light out. But now, you know what? We've gone through the camping season, or pretty much gone through the camping season. And, now we've got to prepare for winter. And prepare for winter, if you don't, folks, right, Mark and Dawn, it could cost you thousands of dollars in penalties for being ill prepared.
That's right.
We've always said it doesn't matter whether you go to your dealer to get the winterizing done, or if you do it yourself. We've come out with a course years ago. Actually, it used to be on VHS tape, and then it was on DVD, and now we've got it on our online program. But it's called Winterizing and Storing Your RV. And basically, if you don't do it and you take that risk of temperatures dropping below the freezing point and staying there for just a short period of time, all the plumbing in the RV can freeze. The water heater tank can freeze to the point where it just splits the tank. Next spring, you're talking thousands of dollars in repairs.
And prevention is so easy. It's economical. It's when you learn how to do it and get it down pat, and you're prepared with the RV antifreeze, specific RV antifreeze and things like that. It's really a great.
Yeah, we just give a list of stuff you need, and we give you a checklist along with the training and show you how to do it, and then you can go out and do it yourself and save some money. So
Dawn, you just brought up a very important word. You said RV antifreeze. Now, for those people that say, I don't want to spend an extra $1 a gallon on RV antifreeze, I'm just going to use some Prestone that I've got. Talk about that, Mark, because there are people that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on their RV and then cheap out when it comes to maintaining it.
yeah, glyco antifreeze that you use in an automobile is toxic. It's deadly. Animals can die from it. Humans can get awfully sick, if not die from it. You do not want that running through the plumbing lines in your RV. So they make a specific non-toxic winterizing antifreeze for RVs and boats. And you want to make sure that you go to the auto parts store or Walmart or wherever you shop and get the pink antifreeze that's designed for RVs.
No, we want them to go to we want them to go to their dealers or their service centers. We don't want them over at Walmart.
Well, if you buy our video, you go to Walmart and get it and do it yourself.
Look at Jerry's comment. Jerry said, Major's RV and Service Center, where Jerry works, at least six ruptured water heater tanks every spring.
Yes.
We've seen that.
And it's the same thing when we talk about winterizing. I like to talk. It's not just winterizing, but it's about storing your RV properly. When I would work at a dealership, just like Jerry said, every spring what I would see is a dozen motorhomes come in with generators that either don't start, or if they did start, they would run erratically because they let fuel sit in the carburetor all winter long without exercising it, and it just creates problems. And you're going to spend a couple $100 to get that fixed. So it goes way far, beyond the plumbing lines. There's so much more to it, and you just want to make sure that you do it properly.
I got a specific question for you about that topic that you just said about fuel lines sitting in the generator. Now, obviously that's a gas or diesel generator. What if you've got a propane generator? Is it still an issue?
It's not an issue with that, and really even diesel fuel can sit for long periods of time and not create a problem. It's mostly gasoline. So,
okay.
And it was carbureted, the old carbureted generators too. So fuel injected stuff is much better when it comes to creating problems from sitting for long periods of time. But you still want to exercise the generator anyway. So it just keeps, it goes deeper and deeper into why you should start and run the generator during the winter to exercise it. So
okay. So this particular
the other part of what your title there is storing. And I know we've talked about this before, but it's important because every day I can see on other forums or other Facebook pages, Living the RV Dream, RV Newbies, almost every day, somebody says, I'm just going to go down the street and buy the blue tarp. So I apologize to our viewers who have heard this story before. But Mark, I know I often share a blog post that you did several years ago about that. But why don't you encapsulate that for people so they understand that as they come into the season now, don't buy the blue tarp at Walmart, buy a good RV cover at your dealer or at the service center.
Good breathable cover.
Yeah, you want airflow to be able to get through the cover. That might sound strange, but RV covers are designed for air to get through, and it prevents mold and mildew from forming on the roof and other areas of the RV. So the blue tarp thing is going to do exactly that. It's going to hold that moisture in and cause more problems. So if you're forced to keep the RV outside and you want to protect, the exterior from some of the elements, then a cover's a good idea, but you just have to make sure you get the right cover.
Hey guys, we've got the course up there on the screen, but Bob, if you could, I don't know if you've got it there ready to go. The web address that our viewers can access to access purchasing that site. Would you guys yell it out?
www.rvonlinetraining.com.
Yeah, let me put that up for you. I do
Because
have it.
you know what, we're committing a cardinal sin telling people buy it, but we're not telling them where to go.
Well, yeah, and like I said, it's not about whether they want to do it themselves or take it to the dealer. They just
Right.
have to make sure it's done. So whatever route they choose to go, that's absolutely fine. But just make sure it gets done.
Right.
Right. We provide a checklist that's, with items needed to purchase, and they can go to their local RV dealer to, help support the dealer and get the parts that they need there and get some direction from the dealer as well.
Yeah.
We have
This-
friends.
This
We have
is the site. This is the site for your new online training programs. So why don't we spend a couple of minutes? Well, listen, before we do that, Jerry's got another point here, and this one always comes up too. That about rodent protection, because when you're storing your unit, and there's so many fables, I guess you'd call them, or mistruths about rodent protection, but Jerry doesn't recommend using Irish Spring. But what do you want to say about keeping the mice out?
That's the key, Bob, is keeping them out. And a mouse can get into an area the size of a dime. So if you open a cabinet in your RV and you can see daylight, that's chances are a mouse can get in that area. So my thing has always been to inspect underneath the RV, anywhere that the manufacturer cut a hole in the RV, like where your power cord goes in.
Or inside the RV, pull out the drawers and you can look down and see if there's daylight.
Yeah, and if anywhere you find daylight, then I just say, use some type of spray foam or some type of something that will fill that area in and prevent the mice from getting in.
Be careful with the spray foam, though. It can really expand, so you have to use a light hand with it.
Yeah. If you've never used it before, I mean, when you spray, if you just spray a little bit, when it dries, there's going to be a big ball there. But if it's out of sight, it's not an issue, and it'll block the hole. But keeping them out's the first thing. But now, if you find out you have mice inside, then of course you have to figure out what you want to do. Trap them or to get them out of there. But
if you trap them, you have to check them often so they're not smelling it up.
Yep, and actually Maria says we tried that. I'm sure she's referring to the Irish Spring. We tried that years ago, and the mice ate it.
Yeah,
I think that remedy was thought of by the people that make Irish Spring soap.
Right. We do have a video on our Facebook page. John did one of our Facebook Live on-site online 3-hour appearances, kind of like what the radio and TV stations used to do. So we booked John out for those 3-hour stints, and he was at Majors about Thursday, a couple of weeks ago, the day prior to their big fall festival and open house. And he does a video every hour on the hour and then on the half hour. And one of the ones was pretty much dedicated to just rodent control, wasn't it, John, that you did with Jeff?
Yeah, exactly. And there's several different commercial products out there, but the key to the whole thing, and Mark said it perfectly, keep them out, because once they get in, they're in.
Yeah. Keep all traces of food out when when you're not using it.
That's part of the storing part is prepping the interior and
getting it all clean,
getting it clean to where you're not inviting those rodents in to come in.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something else just real quick that people may not be aware of. But squirrels have a habit in a motorhome. They'll get up in the engine area
and eat wires.
Start eating plastic and rubber, and they can do a tremendous amount of damage. So I've always said if you have a motorhome and it's outside, you should go out there once a week and just start it up, run it, and if there's anything in there, it's going to run them off. But plus, it's good to start the motorhome periodically anyway. So
well, you bring that.
It would probably make a good. After you fry them, it'll probably make a good appetizer for dinner.
Did you see what Jose just wrote? Hi, Jose.
Hey, Jose. What do you write?
Like
getting rid of unwanted relatives. I found this out last week from the Mercedes dealership that I do some work with, when I asked the service writer about mice, and he said what's happened in the last few years. Many of the wires are coated with soy something or coatings so that the animals eat them.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So it used to be before the wires were toxic. Now they're made with a more gentler
Oh boy.
item. And it's not good.
That's interesting. I never heard that.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and one other thing, while we're on the topic of rodents, you don't want to use any kind of. I would recommend you don't use any kind of poison, like rat poison or mouse poison, because what happens a lot of times is the mice will eat the poison, and then when they get sick, they'll go crawl into an area where you can't access them, and they'll die, and then you have that dead mouse inside.
And if you have pets, you don't want your pets to be exposed to any of that or accidentally get it.
Yeah.
It's just a bad situation.
We've been running here for about 21 minutes, and because we know you guys so well, and it's the second time that you've been on the show. Some people may not even know what RV Education 101 is. So why don't you give us a little back? You know, we got people out there saying, "Who the hell are these guys?"
Yeah, they're like, "Who the hell?" Yeah.
Like, give us a little background, and then kind of segue yourself into the book.
Okay.
Well, we started years and years ago. We've actually started RV Education 101 in 1999. And prior to that, Mark and I both worked for an RV dealership. Mark hired me as a salesperson. And so we kind of got our start at the dealership. And we would give a walkthrough when we'd sell a unit, and people would just have glazed over looks, and they would be like, "Oh, how does this work? How does this work?" So because we would give them a class and how to use the RV, but they weren't retaining the information. So Mark thought, let's try to give something, that they can retain it. There was nothing out there. So he came up with the idea of, let's make a video that we could give to the customers, so they can go home and watch it. And
yeah, kind of like the walkthrough that you would get at the dealership after you buy the RV. You cannot retain that much information in an hour or two. It's just impossible.
Right.
Let's stop for a second there on that topic. The excitement and enthusiasm that you have when you're picking up that RV for the first thing on your mind, there is no way that you're gonna listen about this hose and that hose, etc. You want to get in that thing and go.
Yeah.
And then when you go, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I should have listened."
Yeah. Well, and then you forget everything that they talked to you about. Right.
That's why it's so important. In fact, we had talked about this summer for people that are going to rent an RV.
Yes.
I believe you also have a module on a walkthrough for a rental because, and we've talked to the Fullers, and we've talked to the Longview people, and we've talked to the people at Flag that are, dealers that are in Unlimited. You need to have that information before you pick it up. And what better way to have it is, either online or on some format that you can look at it over and over again, because you're not going to understand it all at once. So
well, and I've always said, when you hear your favorite song, how many times you have to listen to it before you can sing along with it? 16 times, repetition. And the same thing, you watch our video prior to going and picking up the unit at your dealer, then you can ask targeted questions. Yes, you're excited, but it's like, whoa, I didn't understand this. And you've got the dealer, whoever's giving the walkthrough, right there, their attention, and you can get the specific answer at that point.
That was the premise that RV Education 101 was started on, was really, it's just about training, education. It's, if you're going to stay in the lifestyle and enjoy it, you have to be educated. So we wanted to do that. And it actually evolved at one point into where we had 20 different DVD titles, 20 different topics, like winterizing, how to drive, how to tow.
RV care and maintenance.
And with this online program, what we did was we decided to pare that down. Let's concentrate on like 10 of the most important topics, build these courses that are easy for people to understand, and they can go back and watch it as often as they have to.
So we have video courses, and then we have ebook courses. And all of them, depending on if you like to watch or if you like to read, we also have supporting information with crossword puzzles, so it's fun to learn. And Mark gives a quiz so that you're retaining it, so that you can go back, and if there's something you're having trouble with, you can go back on that module. And then when you complete it, there's a certificate of completion that you can print and put in your RV.
And I think it's important to point out many people that put out products that are RV related. Mark and Dawn, I mean, Dawn drives, Mark gets underneath it. For everything that Mark is telling you about, he's done. And generally, both of them get underneath on the creep, what do they call them? Creeper?
Yes.
On the creeper. Dawn probably has there with the camera, or she's got her hands dirty as well. But it's very important when you accept information about your RV, it's much more valuable if it's coming from an RVer themselves. And RVing is it's just like any other industry. There are people that just want to get into it, but don't know what the heck they're telling you.
Let me post a couple of these.
Is very important.
Comments up there. For those who haven't been with us when Jose has been with us, we did a segment, actually did a show with Rolling on TV last week, I think, right? Yeah, last week. Jose is the executive producer, and he also has Mark and Don on some of the segments on the show. So if they look familiar to you, you may have seen them on Rolling on TV, but that's a pretty nice endorsement from Jose.
Tell people more about Rolling on TV, because we talk about it and we know it, but tell them about Rolling on TV. Or do you want me to?
Rolling on. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
About Rolling on?
Yeah.
The segments that we do, or just in general?
Well, just the show in general, then tell them what you do, because the best part about Rolling on next year is they're going to see me more of me and Zagami.
I'm not sure if that's the best. That's not the best part, but yeah, they will
see more of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Well, let me jump in, before you do that. Let me jump to another comment there, because Maria brings up a good point that if you're buying from a third party, and that's an issue where you don't get the right walkthrough. They just want to get rid of the unit and get you on your way. But I think Jerry says something more important, and this is so valid, and he has said this on many of our shows. Now, this is a guy that works for one of the best RV service centers, probably in the country, but certainly in the Northeast, and we know damn well it's in New England. But that they see so many people who know so little about their RVs. And if there was one theme going through the dealer open house this week, a couple weeks ago in Elkhart, a lot of the RV CEOs and executives and salesmen, there was more talk this year from the dealers, from the manufacturers, about the industry's need to get more education to the consumer. We cannot keep selling 500,000 units a year and have uneducated and untrained people running them, because it just leads to complaints, and complaints that are not justified if we had trained them the right way on the systems, which would reduce the amount of technicians we need and the dealer service. And that's critical.
Now, lifestyle is one thing, but also the knowing about how it works is another thing too. And you need to get your information from a qualified person. You know, there's so much information out there that's just not, you know, we kind of cringe when we see it sometimes. But hi, Jason. I see Jason's on there.
I've always been shocked.
What is your breaking news, Jason?
Well, I think that's one of Jason's jokes. So you gotta figure out what Jason's saying. I think he's joking about when we said that the consumers need more education. He's saying breaking news, like nobody in the world ever figured this out before, that we ought to train people how to run their RVs and work on them and service them. So I may be wrong, Jason, but I think I got you pegged.
Yeah, I think that's what he means too. And what's interesting, Bob, is we've been doing this for 20 years. Next year will be our 20th year. And I am absolutely amazed that, you know, the industry, the RV industry, does a really good job of, you know, they manufacture the RVs, they have salespeople to sell the RVs, the whole process. But then when the end user gets the RV, they don't know how to use it. And there's really was not a lot of education material available for
and the manuals are not very good or very detailed.
So we've spent the last 20 years trying to help educate the consumer. And the reason we called it RV Education 101 is we wanted to concentrate on the basics, the things you need to know to be able to go to the campground and use your RV and have a successful, enjoyable camping trip.
And we have a lot of products that we sell, but we also give a bunch of free information. We have 2 YouTube channels. We have a blog. We write for Go RVing. We write for KOA. We do the videos. There's a lot of free information that we give out there, hoping that we can get to the masses and just give credible, good information, good, solid information.
And let's face it, as a new RVer, there's a huge learning curve. And even Jason Cole would admit, I mean, he's been RVing for many, many years, and Jerry as well. You got to constantly learn. I mean, Jason just got a new unit a year or 2 ago, and he had to unlearn what he knew about his old one and relearn with the new one.
He did.
Well, something else I found interesting was when we would, you know, I just said a minute ago that we do the 101 just to teach you the basics. But what happened then was people started writing to me and saying, hey, you know, can you tell us how to do this and how to do that? And that's how it grew. That's how the company grew, because then it was like, okay, you want to learn how to winterize it. You want to learn how to maintain it, how to take care of your batteries. So we started coming up with specialty titles on those areas.
And I want to tell you Mark's background. He's a retired chief warrant officer, maintenance officer from the United States Army. So he had an entire career managing big track, what do you call it, wheeled track vehicles. So he's really well versed in the mechanics of how everything works too.
So Jason qualified it. What he says, he was really talking about Roland. There's no G on it's ROLLIN, Jason. But that's all right. We'll let it go. We'll let it go this time. But I think
we're happy Jason could spell TV right.
What he's talking about is the new sponsorship. Forest River is the primary sponsor.
Yes, that's great.
Replacing Jaco. Jaco's been on there for about 5 years, but Forest River is taking over that. And it's funny, I don't know if I told you this, John, but I sent a note to Doug Geddert, the GM and the VP of the RV division, congratulating him on signing on with Rolling on TV, and thought it was a good move for Forest River with all the different brands. And he writes back and he says, Bob, he says, it was really great seeing you and John at the open house. We always like to see the East Coast Outlaws when we have open house. So Doug may have branded John and I as the East Coast Outlaws. So
I don't know what he meant by that, but we'll presume that he meant it in the best possible way.
That's right. But I did thank him for the Jack Daniels and the elephant ears.
Okay. Well, Jeremy Puglisi of RV Family Atlas, before we came on, he said, now make sure you guys all behave. And I said, well, with the 3 of you just never know what's going to happen.
The 2 of them.
Good. Well, let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about working with Jeff and Michelle and Lori and Jose and the whole crew. So that I just wanted to throw that in there too. Yep, great people. Let's talk a little bit about the book. John and I have been providing a copy to our dealers as we go around to do our videos. And again, it's like anything else. They have to be trained as to, what's available. They're busy. Their parts and accessory people are busy, but we showed them the book and we've been able to generate a lot of sales for you guys because number one, we believe in the book, but you also have programs for the dealers. Cause I know, John, Randy at Russo's RV got a hold of me today and wanted to know where to get the book after you had, given him one. He was into the book and really loved it, and he wants to have it on his parts and accessory counter. And set it down to Dawn. She already signed him up, and she probably have the books on the way tomorrow.
Yes, we offer our dealers good incentives. We offer them discounted prices on our products so that it is easier for them to either gift it as part of the purchase or to resell it in their dealership. So we have different programs with the book, with the DVDs, and with our online program. We can do coupons. I mean, we're very versatile, and we can really work with each individual dealer depending on their volume and things like that.
And Bob, we are almost at 50,000 copies sold.
Come on!
if we
this next order,
if we count the ebooks, that I converted the book into an ebook several years ago, and if we count the ebook sales,
we're over
50,000 copies of that book sold. So we're
which
really
is a
proud
pretty
of that.
amazing feat.
Yeah.
Yeah, for self-published. We're self-published.
And we
Have you-
appreciate
And one thing that you can't see from this graphic that's up there is you can't see the depth of the book. And the book, Dawn, you got it right there. Okay, show us sideways. Sideways. Let me see the spine.
The sideways. Turn it around. Side.
Okay.
Yeah.
How big is that? That's at least 200 pages, right?
300. It
300.
it was a little over 300, and then I think I trimmed it back.
290.
Yeah.
The sixth edition.
Okay, you can take my picture out, though. As long as you didn't take my picture out of it. But
That's coming in the 7th edition, John. This is the 6th edition.
well, you know, when you see the picture up there, you don't know whether it's 10 pages or 50 pages, but it's good that you had that graphic, that actual book there, Dawn, to show our viewers
Right.
that the book, I mean, it really is an encyclopedia. There's probably nothing about an RV. And if you look up in the top left corner, it's the 6th edition, which means it's been updated and upgraded, right, Mark? With new technology comes out.
Yeah, every year we go to, like here at Hershey, to the RV show, or when we would go to Louisville to the trade show, what we're doing, in addition to several other things, one thing we're doing is always looking at the latest technology, what's happening in the industry, how things are changing. So every time I do a new edition, we go into those chapters, just like, say, on-demand water heaters. You know, for a long time you'd never heard of that, and then all of a sudden that's a major player in the RV industry. So we want people to know that there's a third type of water heater, basically.
We work closely with like the manufacturers and the aftermarket product manufacturers, and we get a lot of information and behind the scenes stuff. So
yeah, so
Mark has a talent. He won't tell you that, but I will. He has a gift of teaching many different people from different backgrounds on an easy to relate and understand method. I hear that all the time.
Yep.
And that's important because owner's manuals, I've got like cameras, and I go to a YouTube to try to find how to use it, because owner's manuals are written by tech people for tech people. And I have no clue how to read some of those owner's manuals when they say insert tab A into tab B and blah, 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 blah.
If you look at a typical RV owner's manual from a few years back, when you look at the water heater section, it's actually telling you how to install the water heater in the RV. It's not
I'd rather
telling
buy
you.
one with it already in it.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob,
Yeah.
Bob, are you checking out these comments? Because I think, like that one that you just put up, I don't know how Jose could have gotten an outtake of me, because I was perfect.
Right. We only you're great. We do this stuff in one take. They don't have to do a second take.
Right. There's no outtakes of us.
Hey, we want to see the bloopers.
Right.
I think this is fake news.
Oh no!
Folks, if,
All right,
if there's an outtake of Zagami and me at an upcoming edition of Rolling on TV,
Hey,
then did your wife come in?
I saw that too. I saw May. Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
We share this office, and she leaves the office when I do the show, so she doesn't have to listen to us babble on. But I know she's working on the kitchen counter right now, so she must have forgot something and come back in. But yes, Jason, that was my wife. May.
Yeah, exactly. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Jerry brings up a good point there about owners groups. You know what? That's a great resource, because owners groups, they have specific points of information about a certain brand that are different than a lot of other brands that might not have the same issues.
That's a great point, because what I tell people before they buy an RV is you need to go to some of the owners groups and talk to them about a specific brand or model that you're thinking about purchasing. Get it from the mouth of the owner, Yep.
Or what about this? And I'm just thinking this off the top of my head right now, because we don't prepare for the show. Sometimes it's obvious. If you went, say for example, you were interested in a Tiffin product, and you found out that there was a Tiffin rally nearby.
Yeah.
Aren't those the best sources of information? People actually own the product.
Yes.
And I think every major manufacturer has a rally or get together at various times throughout the year where you can go and talk to those people, because Bob and I have mentioned this, I think even Dawn and Mark and I have saying this the other day. When RVs are new, they're all beautiful. Yep. But it's after a couple years on the road that you can tell the ones that are going to last more than a couple years and the ones that are going to be a little less reliable. So certainly finding out from somebody who owns it, who has no reason to tell you either yes or no, to buy it. I think that's thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, Maria says that her husband has taken advantage of the owners groups and the manufacturer's service department, because a lot of times the service department comes out there and does service at these various rallies. You know, one thing that might
More knows him by name.
I just want to throw something else up here, because when we talk about these rallies and stuff, one of the things that you guys have done on your online streaming courses is you have bundled a set of your educational material that you've had over the years and refined it and edited it. So like this particular one is motorhome video bundle training, but you have the same type of training for fifth wheels and a separate one for travel trailers. So talk about that, the reason why you did that, and why you have so much information in one place for people, and it's not expensive at all.
Yeah.
Well, we had we put applicable information all together. We had people saying, "What should I get? I want to get everything for my, specific motorized or towable." And so we just made it super easy. If you just want to buy this one bundle, that's pretty much everything that you need to know from us for what we have. And
it's basically when we were still doing DVDs, we had at one time we had 20 DVDs, that different titles. So people were confused when they wanted to order a DVD to learn how to use their motorhome, and then
they'd buy something that wasn't applicable to a motorhome.
Yeah, so we put these bundles together. So you buy the one that teaches you the systems, and then you also get the winterizing and storing, you get the maintenance, you get the safety
checklist,
anything that applies to that motorhome. We just bundle it into a package and then give them a discount. So it really is a good deal if you're interested in learning more than just how to use the RV.
And what we've done is broken it down into segments. So if you're just scrolling through and you have a specific question on how to use like the water heater, then you can go specifically to that segment. And then you can print out like a checklist. And we've got a lot of written information in there as well for the video courses.
And if they buy the bundle, don't you throw in a couple of freebies on top of that, some checklists or Target stuff like that?
Yes, we give them our best-selling ebook, a checklist for RVers, and it has like 40 different checklists pertaining to every topic imaginable.
Like what to do with your house when you leave it, or bringing your pets with you, how to winterize, how to drive.
The emergency weather planning we talked about earlier.
Essential items.
There's a checklist in there for that. I mean, it's just some good content, good information, especially for new RV owners.
And we get emails like constantly for years and years and years. So we take a lot of what people say, not only from what we learn ourselves, but we also take what, comments from people and incorporate it. We get a lot of campground owners that write to us and they say there's a lot of confusion that campers think that is happening at the campground, but it's not necessarily the campground's fault. So, our 30 amp versus 50 amp video came as a result of that. And that's free on YouTube that you can watch. So, Ed
Laturco joined us, and it's one of my longtime document imaging friends. But I forgot all about the fact that your brother was down in Panama City and his nephew lost half of his home today. I forgot it because that came right through. You missed the conversation we had at the beginning on about Mark and Don and their issues they had in North Carolina. They couldn't get back from Indiana and Hershey and what have you. So there was some bad stories. That thing, when you think about those two hurricanes, Florence and Michael, you look at how long Florence just hung over and stayed there and did that much damage. And then this one that just, nobody knew about it a week beforehand, then it shows up and disappears just as fast and does
a category 5. 1 mile from, no, it's a 4, but 1 mile off from a 5, which to me there's no difference.
But
the wind damage from this one is just
more so than the water.
Yes.
And, you know,
With
where it seemed to be Florence was more water related.
All right, Jerry's heading
they're
out.
both
Hi, Jerry.
absolutely
Jerry must have an
devastating.
early dinner engagement or something, but he's heading out, so we'll have to wait until. Yeah, he must be
Jerry.
about ready to come home. He's been out there 3 or 4 weeks. How long was he gone for, John? A month or 2 months?
Longer than 3 or 4
Yeah.
weeks.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been
Good
out there.
stuff.
But you know what? We got to give him an award for Faithful Follower Award.
Absolutely. Tunes in every week. Now, Ed's got a good point. I mean, I don't know what the campground situation, or there's a couple of RV dealers that are in the panhandle. That,
It was on the news earlier that they had closed a lot of the campgrounds, just told people that they needed to evacuate, and they closed the campgrounds,
Yes,
which is
and
good.
Michelle and Lori from Rolling On are supposed to be at Myrtle Beach next week, I think it is. So I don't know how that's going to affect their plans, but
Yeah. But you know what, guys? I'm sure. I mean, the news is just coming out because it didn't go through Panama City until 2 o'clock. It was only 5 hours ago. But I'm sure you're going to see a lot of stories of a lot of the RV parks in Florida are permanent parks. You know, not just seasonal, but year-round parks where people have units that are there, and they are certainly going to be. There's going to be some destruction videos of that. I got to tell you, on a happier note, I need to tell you a story. We were talking before about going to manufacturer rallies. And this summer, my wife and I went out to Forest City, Iowa, because we own a Winnebago product. And actually, it was Wednesday night because I was doing an interview with the president of Winnebago. And my wife texted.
On the show. Yeah, on the show live.
And I had to go off the show. It's just like this. And she said, they're moving us to a fallout shelter, you know, a storm shelter, because there were severe thunderstorms coming in. So I said, well, you know, I mean, I'm a star, so there's nothing really I can, you know. Anyway.
Don't they know who you are?
Basically, I left my wife to fend for herself, but she texted a little bit later. She said, I'm stuck in a shower with a lady with 2 dogs and a parrot. Okay. And then another lady that was with her and said, asked my wife if she's been through this before. She said no. And the lady says, well, when the roof blows off, just duck down. But as it turned out, nothing happened. All the animals made it out. My wife never wants to see a parrot again as long as she lives. Because that parrot, she said that parrot was talking a mile a minute in about 7 different languages.
More than you, huh?
Exactly. Yeah.
So Michelle and Laurie have checked in. You will get
Hello.
You will get penalized, ladies, for being late. The show starts at 7 p.m. and you are
the pointers are here.
and you're in the Eastern time zone, but they're going to be down at Myrtle Beach. They're going to be down at Lakewood Campground, Lakewood Family Camping Resort, I think is the title. Doing some segments for Rolling On TV and installing some new products on their Lance trailer.
Well, I wanted to say, John, don't you think that it's also a good thing to visit a manufacturer plant and go through the tour to see how they're made and
I've been through a lot of them, but I was very impressed with the Winnebago plant because I think about 80% of that RV is made by Winnebago. It's not just components that are put together.
Yeah.
So that if you do have a problem, it's not, you know, one hand telling you to go to the other person to get it fixed. And the fit and finish is always better because it's not something that is put in and you build around it. I mean, they build it, they design it to fit it better. And
I've always liked Winnebago products. Always.
Jose's covering for Michelle and Laurie.
Yeah.
They were on camera doing camera work today. Hey, Ed's got a good question, and you did cover it earlier in the show, Mark. I guess if I answered that question, I'd say you don't want to worry about tying it down, Ed, because when the hurricane comes through, there's not going to be anything left. But I'll let Mark answer it, the professional.
Well, yeah, we discussed this a little bit earlier, Ed, and basically what we said is it's just not safe to be in an RV. So, you know, as far as being in an RV park and evacuating, if you can leave and go inland where you're safe from the storm, but what's interesting is we have a destination camper that's down at Topsail Beach, which took a direct hit from Florence. And I actually do have hurricane tie downs on that fifth wheel that we have down there.
Thank goodness.
That's just to not only, with the wind, but if there was ever water or anything, just to prevent it from just
floating,
falling over on its side or something. And it's interesting, our fifth wheel made it through the storm without a scratch.
No, it got a little bit damaged.
No, it made it through the storm.
Well, yeah, but you had neighbors that their units were splintered, right?
Yes. The whole front end came off.
When they went in with the cleanup crew, they had this really large dump truck.
Yeah.
And the dump truck hit the side of the front of our RV and did all kinds of damage. But it made it through the storm.
The hurricane.
It made it through the storm. It just didn't make it through the cleanup.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Everyone down there, it's a destination camping area. You buy the lot. It's a deeded lot, so everybody owns the property, and they all tie the campers down. The ones that stay there year round. Now, if they're just down there for the summer, they typically take it out when a storm's coming in and try to get it out of there. But
our friend Terry Packer just signed on. Hi, Terry. He said,
Terry.
Always a bug if it's a category 4. Always bug out.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's even if you're in a stick house.
That might be true of a category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I mean,
get out of there, folks.
Yeah.
And you know what? You guys before said go inland, but during certain times of the year, there's all these tornadoes that happen out in the Midwest.
Oh yeah.
Or if you're driving through that area, folks, you got to just sometimes sacrifice your RV and keep your life, because even if you try going north and you see it a little bit to your west, those things make turns. They make left turns and right turns very easily.
And a lot of tornadoes are spawned off of a hurricane. So, it's really common for that to happen. When we were in Charlottesville waiting to get home, a tornado hit Richmond, Virginia, which is not that far away. But
and when we worked at a dealership when we first met, the dealership we worked at, there was a tornado that went through her lot, the owner's lot.
From a hurricane.
And it devastated every bit of.
People paid storage to store their RV down at the bottom side of the dealership, and there were about 25 campers in a row, and it went right down that row and just took out every single camper.
So tie downs are not going to help in that situation.
Yeah, there's not going to be anything left if you get involved in that kind of a storm like that.
All right, the 2 gals and their 3 Boston Terriers are worried already. They haven't left. You're not leaving for 7 days. The hurricane will be past Myrtle Beach.
Oh, yeah.
You have a trailer and a car, and if there's warnings, you'll have enough warnings. Get in the car and head home.
Yeah.
So this is a quick, fast-moving storm, so it just depends on how much damage it does at the campground, and we'll know by Friday probably.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Lots of good questions. We're already coming up.
We always forget to do this.
I know.
No, folks, if you're watching now or if you're watching on replay, just share this with your friends. There's only so many people we can reach by ourselves at any one time. So if all of you people would just take a moment to go down to the bottom of your page here, whether you're looking at it on a mobile device or on a laptop or a tablet, where it says share, just share. And we'd appreciate it. And you know what? There was such good information tonight that we could really save somebody's life based on the content of this show. So that makes it all worthwhile.
And the educational aspect of it is so important. Are there any new projects on your horizon? Anything before we close it out here? Anything you want to tell us about that you're working on?
Well, we're working on a couple things that actually several things. One is we're going to release a magazine issue that it concentrates solely on RV quality. I'm going to, instead of our monthly newsletter, I'm going to have a magazine format.
It's an unbiased look.
at RV Quality in general. So that's going to be coming out the first of the month.
In PDF format too.
We have a couple of videos that we haven't gotten onto the RV online training yet that we're working on. RV care and maintenance is one, and RV safety is another one. We have the ebooks, but we don't have the video courses. So we're working on that.
And new segments for Rolling On TV and KOA blog. So we have a lot going on.
We're doing a whole series.
Now look at
We're gonna do a whole,
I didn't even cut you off there, but we thought we'd go through the whole show without mentioning vegetables. So we didn't.
I was wondering.
Here we go.
But we didn't mention it. But you notice she's hiding behind Joe. Joe's a meat eater. So she wants Joe to tell us about the vegetarian meal that she served today. Maybe they were out at.
That means that Jose ate the veggies and not the meat. That's probably what that means.
No, he sent out to McDonald's so he could have a double cheeseburger.
Yep. Yeah, they're McDonald's. They're only $1 this week if you have a McDonald's app. But
so you're busy with KOA. You get a lot of stuff on the thing.
We have a new series that we're working on, the RV 101, some short segments, just targeted segments that we're going to be releasing soon, a whole series on YouTube.
Yeah, so we're busy. We're keeping busy.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, can you throw their website back up there again so they can people?
You're reading my mind, Pedro. You're reading my mind.
Because there's so much on that website that, if we start rattling it off, we won't.
Tremendous resource. All right, guys, we're coming up to an hour. Maybe we have to extend the show to 2 hours, but they'll probably shut us off after an hour. So no, they get a lot of information in an hour. It's all archived on the site, so they can go back and share it with their friends and go back and check it out. I know Ed jumped off there, and he can go back and check it out. So please go back to this particular Facebook page right where you're at and look at all the archived units. Don and Mark, you want to say goodbye? Any closing statements?
Thank you to everybody for joining us, and we really appreciate everybody who's followed us through the years and even recently, and we appreciate you and John, Bob and John, for everything. You guys work so hard, and we really respect everything you do, and thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate your support, you guys, and if you're out there and you want to learn how to use your RV, then just go to the website on the screen.
I appreciate it. John, any closing statements?
No, I thought it was a great show, and thank the Polks, and look forward to another great show next week.
Always fun to have you guys. All right. See you down the road. Take care.
All right.
Bye, everybody.